The rain fell in a steady drizzle over Portland, Oregon, painting the streets in shades of gray and silver. It was late January, and the winter chill had settled deep into the city's bones, turning the evening air sharp and biting. The streetlights flickered on one by one along East Burnside Street, casting golden pools of light on the wet pavement. Tyler Bennett stood outside the window of Morrison's Bakery, his thin jacket doing little to protect him from the cold. His breath fogged the glass as he pressed his nose against it, watching the rows of cakes and pastries inside. At 12 years old, Tyler had learned to make himself small, invisible even. His sandy brown hair hung damp over his forehead, and his worn sneakers were soaked through from the puddles he'd walked through on his way from the group home. Inside the bakery, the warmth beckoned. Tyler had been saving for 3 months, every dollar he could earn from helping neighbors carry groceries, every quarter he found on the street, every bit of allowance the overworked staff at Riverside Youth Home could spare him. He had $17.32 in his pocket. Tomorrow was his birthday, and he wanted just one thing: a cake he could share with the other kids at the home. The bell above the door chimed as Tyler pushed it open. The sweet smell of sugar and butter enveloped him immediately, so rich and inviting that his stomach clenched with hunger. Behind the counter stood Brenda Walsh, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes who'd been running Morrison's for the past decade. "Hi there, sweetheart," Brenda said, wiping her hands on her apron. "What can I do for you?" Tyler approached the counter slowly, his fingers clutching the crumpled bills in his pocket. Hi, ma'am. I was wondering..." Maroon, he swallowed hard, his cheeks flushing. "Do you have any cakes that are, close to their sell-by date? Or maybe one that didn't turn out perfect? Something with a discount?" Brenda's expression softened. She'd seen plenty of kids come through her shop over the years, but something about this boy's quiet dignity touched her heart. "Well, let me check in the back. When do you need it for?" "Tomorrow," Tyler said quietly. "It's my birthday. I'm turning 12. "Oh, happy early birthday," Brenda smiled warmly. "Let me see what I can find for you, honey." As Brenda disappeared into the back room, Tyler didn't notice the man sitting at the small corner table near the window. Daniel Morales had been nursing a black coffee for the past 20 minutes, his leather jacket draped over the back of his chair. At 38, Danny looked every bit the stereotypical biker, a thick beard streaked with gray, arms covered in intricate tattoos that disappeared under his black t-shirt, and a scar that ran from his left eyebrow to his cheekbone, a souvenir from a bar fight years ago. Danny had stopped at Morrison's because it was one of the few places in this part of town where people didn't immediately tense up when he walked in. Brenda treated everyone the same, whether they wore suits or rode Harleys. He'd been coming here for years, ever since he'd moved to Portland's east side and opened his motorcycle repair shop 3 blocks away. He'd heard the whole exchange between the kid and Brenda, and something about it had grabbed his attention. Danny knew what it was like to have nothing. He'd grown up in foster care himself, bouncing between homes in Sacramento before he'd aged out of the system at 18. He'd found his family in the Iron Brotherhood MC, a club that valued loyalty above all else and had given him the belonging he'd never known as a kid. Brenda returned from the back, her face apologetic. "I'm sorry, honey. I don't have any discounted cakes right now. The only ones I have left are full price. The smallest one is $28. Tyler's face fell, but he quickly tried to hide his disappointment. "That's okay. Thank you anyway, Mom." He turned to leave, his shoulders slumped. "Wait!" Danny's voice rumbled from the corner, rough and deep. Tyler froze, turning slowly. For the first time, he noticed the imposing figure sitting there, the leather, the tattoos, the hard edges. Tyler's heart raced. At the group home, they'd been warned about people like this, dangerous people. Danny stood, towering at 6'3", and walked to the counter. His boots thudded heavily against the tile floor. Tyler took an involuntary step back. "Brenda," Danny said, pulling out his wallet. Ring up that $28 cake for the kid and throw in a dozen cupcakes while you're at it. Danny, you don't have to... Brenda started. I know I don't have to, Danny interrupted, his voice gruff but not unkind. Just do it. Tyler's eyes went wide. Sir, I don't have enough money. Did I ask you for money? Danny's dark eyes fixed on the boy. There was no malice in them, just a kind of weary understanding. It's your birthday, kid. Everyone deserves a cake on their birthday. But why? Tyler's voice was barely a whisper. Danny was quiet for a moment, his jaw working as he considered the question. Why indeed? Maybe because he saw himself in this kid. Maybe because 30 years ago, nobody had bought him a cake. Maybe because the world was hard enough without making a 12-year-old beg for something as simple as a birthday celebration. Because I can, Danny finally said. He handed Brenda two $50 bills. Keep the change, get the kid whatever else he wants. Brenda smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. She'd known Danny Morales for years, and beneath all that leather and scar tissue, she'd always known there was a good man. Tyler, honey, pick out whatever you'd like. Tyler stood frozen, overwhelmed. He'd spent his whole life learning not to trust people, especially people who looked like this man. The adults at the group home had taught them to be wary, to keep their distance from bikers and gang members. But this man, this scary-looking stranger, had just done something no one else had ever done for him. Thank you, Tyler managed, his voice cracking. Thank you so much, sir. Danny nodded curtly and turned to leave, grabbing his jacket from the chair. The last thing he wanted was gratitude or attention. He'd done his good deed. Now he could leave with a clear conscience. Wait, Tyler called out. Danny paused at the door, his hand on the handle. What's your name? Danny. I'm Tyler. Tyler Bennett. The boy extended his small hand. Danny looked at the outstretched hand for a long moment. Then slowly he reached out and shook it. Tyler's hand disappeared completely in Danny's calloused grip, but the biker was careful to be gentle. Happy birthday, Tyler Bennett, Danny said. Then he was gone, the door chiming behind him. Through the window, Tyler watched him climb onto a massive Harley-Davidson, the chrome catching the streetlights. The engine roared to life, and within seconds, Danny had disappeared into the rainy Portland night. Tyler stood there, still processing what had just happened. Brenda came around the counter and put a gentle hand on his shoulder. That man right there, he's got a heart bigger than that motorcycle he rides. Now let's get you that cake and some extras for your friends at home. 15 minutes later, Tyler left Morrison's bakery with a large white cake decorated with blue frosting and Happy Birthday, written in elegant script, a dozen assorted cupcakes, and a bag of fresh cookies Brenda had insisted he take. His arms were so full he could barely see over the boxes, but his heart was fuller than it had been in years. As he walked back toward Riverside Youth Home, the rain still falling softly around him, Tyler couldn't stop thinking about the biker named Danny. He'd been taught to fear people like that, but Danny's eyes, they hadn't been scary. They'd been sad and kind at the same time, like he understood something about Tyler that no one else did. Tyler didn't know it yet, but that encounter in the bakery would change the trajectory of his entire life. Riverside Youth Home sat on the corner of Southeast 82nd Avenue and Division Street, a large, weathered building that had once been an elementary school before budget cuts forced its closure and conversion into a group home. The facility housed 32 children, ranging from ages 6 to 17, all wards of the state, all waiting for either reunification with their families or adoption. Though the older kids like Tyler knew that second option became less likely with each passing year. Tyler pushed through the front door, carefully balancing his boxes. The entryway was dimly lit, the fluorescent bulbs overhead flickering as they always did. The walls were painted an institutional beige that had long ago lost any warmth it might have once possessed. From somewhere deeper in the building, he could hear the television blaring and kids arguing. "Tyler, you're back!" a small voice called out. 7-year-old Amy Rodriguez came running down the hallway, her dark curls bouncing. She was one of the younger kids Tyler had taken under his wing, a girl who'd been at Riverside for 8 months after her mother had been incarcerated for drug possession. "Hey, Amy." Tyler smiled, crouching down to her level despite the armful of boxes. "Look what I got." Amy's eyes went wide as she lifted the lid on the cake box. "Wow, it's so pretty. Is that for tomorrow?" "Yeah, for my birthday. And there's enough for everyone." "Everyone?" Amy's face lit up. "Even Mr. Crawford?" Tyler laughed. Paul Crawford was one of the 2 full-time staff members at Riverside, an exhausted-looking man in his 50s who did his best with limited resources and too many kids. "Even Mr. Crawford? What's all this commotion?" Valerie Thompson appeared from the common room, clipboard in hand. At 42, Val was the facility director, a woman who dedicated her life to child welfare, but who'd long ago lost the battle against burnout. The bags under her eyes were permanent fixtures now, and her graying hair was always pulled back in the same tired bun. "Just some birthday supplies, Ms. Thompson," Tyler said, standing up. Valerie's expression softened slightly when she saw the boxes. "That's nice, Tyler. You can store the cake in the kitchen fridge, but make sure you label it. And those cupcakes need to be counted and logged. We can't have kids taking food without permission." Tyler nodded. He was used to the rules. Everything at Riverside was about rules and structure, necessary evils when you had too few adults supervising too many traumatized children. He understood that, even if it sometimes felt suffocating. That night, after storing the cake and settling the younger kids down for bed, Tyler lay in his bunk in the room he shared with 3 other boys. His birthday cake was safe in the kitchen, but his mind kept wandering back to Danny. Who was he? Why had he helped? The questions spiraled through Tyler's thoughts until exhaustion finally pulled him under. Meanwhile, across town in the industrial district of Southeast Portland, Danny Morales sat in his motorcycle shop, Morales Custom Works. The garage was a cathedral to American steel and chrome. 6 motorcycles in various states of repair lined the walls, tools hung in meticulous order on pegboards, and the smell of motor oil and metal permeated everything. Danny was working on a 1975 Harley shovelhead, his hands moving with practiced precision as he rebuilt the carburetor. This was where he found peace. In the concrete logic of machines, in the satisfaction of taking something broken and making it whole again. Bikes didn't betray you, didn't leave you, didn't disappoint. You put in the work and they ran. Simple as that. "Yo, Danny!" a voice called from the open bay door. Jackson Hayes walked in, another member of the Iron Brotherhood MC. At 35, Jackson was Danny's closest friend in the club, a former Marine with a quick smile and a fierce loyalty to his brothers. "You coming to the clubhouse? Patch meeting starts in 20. Danny didn't look up from his work. "I'll be there, just finishing this up." Jackson walked closer, wiping his hands on his jeans. "You good, man? You seem off tonight." "I'm fine." "Bullshit." Jackson grabbed a stool and sat down. "I've known you for 10 years, Danny. Something's eating at you." Danny set down his wrench and finally looked at his friend. "Ran into a kid today, 12 years old, trying to buy an expired cake for his birthday with $17. Jackson's eyebrows rose. "That's rough." "Foster kid," Danny continued. "I could tell just by looking at him. Had that same look we all had, like he's learned not to expect anything good from anyone." "So, what'd you do?" "Bought him the cake and some cupcakes." Jackson grinned. "Look at you, going soft in your old age." "Shut up," Danny muttered. But there was no heat in it. He picked up his wrench again, needing something to do with his hands. Just couldn't leave him there like that. "Nothing wrong with helping a kid out," Jackson said, his tone more serious now. God knows nobody helped us when we were that age. That was the truth of it. Both Danny and Jackson had come from the system, as had several other members of the Iron Brotherhood. The club didn't discriminate. They took in military veterans, ex-cons, men who'd been abandoned by society and were looking for belonging. As long as you were loyal, had honor, and could handle yourself, you had a place. You think about him much? Jackson asked quietly. About Carlos? Danny's hands stilled. Carlos, his son. The boy would have been 14 now if he'd lived, but Carlos had died 6 years ago in a car accident, along with Danny's wife, Maria. A drunk driver had crossed the median on I-5 and hit them head-on. Danny had been at a club run that weekend, 300 miles away, when he got the call that destroyed his world. Every day, Danny said, his voice rough with old grief. Jackson nodded, understanding. Maybe that's why the kid got to you, reminded you of what you lost. Maybe. Danny didn't want to talk about it anymore. He stood up, wiping his hands on a rag. Come on. We'll be late for the meeting. The two men climbed onto their bikes and roared through the Portland streets toward the Iron Brotherhood Clubhouse, a converted warehouse on the outskirts of the industrial district. The building was nondescript from the outside, but inside it was home. A bar, pool tables, a lounge area with worn leather couches, and walls covered with club memorabilia and photos of brothers who'd passed on. 23 members of the Iron Brotherhood were already there when Danny and Jackson arrived. The club president, Thomas Reaper Garrett, a grizzled 58-year-old Vietnam veteran, called the meeting to order. They discussed club business, upcoming charity rides, maintenance on the clubhouse, tensions with a rival club that had been encroaching on their territory. Danny participated when needed, but his mind kept drifting back to the kid in the bakery, Tyler Bennett. Something about that name, that face, had lodged itself in Danny's chest and wouldn't let go. After the meeting, as members dispersed to drink and play pool, Jackson sidled up to Danny at the bar. You know what you should do. Go check on the kid. Make sure he's all right. Danny snorted. What am I supposed to do? Show up at his foster home on my Harley. That'll go over real well. I'm serious, man. You helped him once. Maybe he needs more than just a cake. He's got people looking after him, Danny argued. But even as he said it, he knew it was hollow. He'd been in the system. He knew how overwhelmed social workers were, how group homes were understaffed and overcrowded. That kid probably needed a hell of a lot more than what he was getting. Just think about it, Jackson said, clapping him on the shoulder before walking off to join a poker game. Danny nursed his beer, Jackson's words echoing in his mind. He'd spent the last 6 years trying not to feel anything, burying himself in work and club life, keeping everyone at arm's length. Getting involved with a foster kid would be complicated, messy, painful. It would require opening up parts of himself he'd sealed off after Maria and Carlos died. But he couldn't shake the image of Tyler's face, the way the boy had extended his hand with such cautious hope, the quiet dignity in asking for a discounted cake rather than begging for a handout. Damn it, Danny muttered into his beer. He had a feeling this wasn't over. The next morning, Tyler woke early, excitement overriding his usual reluctance to face another day. It was his birthday. He was 12 years old, and tonight he'd have cake with the other kids. Real cake. Not the generic grocery store sheet cake they usually got for birthdays. School dragged by slowly. Tyler attended Jefferson Middle School, a 15-minute bus ride from Riverside. He was a decent student, B's and C's mostly, but he had trouble concentrating. His mind wandered constantly, and teachers often mistook his distraction for lack of intelligence rather than recognizing it for what it was, the mental exhaustion that came from chronic instability and trauma. At lunch, he sat with his usual group, Amy's older brother, Miguel Rodriguez, who was 13, and 2 other kids from Riverside, Nathan Price and Zoe Hamilton. They were a small tribe within the larger chaos of middle school, united by their shared circumstances. "So," Miguel said, biting into his sandwich, "Miss Thompson said we're having a birthday thing for you tonight after dinner." Tyler nodded. "Yeah, I got a really nice cake yesterday." "How'd you afford that?" Nathan asked. Nathan was 14, skinny as a rail, with a sharp tongue that had gotten him in trouble more times than anyone could count. "I thought you only had like $20 saved." "I did," Tyler said quietly. "But someone helped me." Zoe, 11 years old with bright red hair and more freckles than clear skin, leaned forward. "Helped you how?" Tyler told them about the bakery, about Danny. As he spoke, he could see the skepticism on their faces. Kids like them had learned early not to trust random acts of kindness. There was always a catch, always an angle. "That's weird," Nathan said flatly. "Why would some random biker dude buy you a cake? He probably wants something." "Maybe he was just being nice," Tyler protested, but doubt crept in. What if Nathan was right? What if there was some ulterior motive? "Nobody's just nice for no reason," Zoe said, her voice bitter beyond her years. "People always want something." Tyler fell silent. Maybe they were right. Maybe he was being naive. But when he closed his eyes, he could still see Danny's face, could still remember the sadness in those dark eyes. That hadn't looked like manipulation. It had looked like recognition. Like Danny had seen something in Tyler that he understood. That evening, Riverside Youth Home's dining room was transformed as much as possible for Tyler's birthday. Valerie Thompson and Paul Crawford had hung streamers, and all 32 kids were gathered around the tables. When they brought out Tyler's cake, everyone gasped. It was beautiful, far nicer than anything they usually had. "Make a wish!" Amy shouted, bouncing in her seat. Tyler closed his eyes. What did he wish for? A family? That seemed too big, too impossible. Friends who didn't leave? Stability? In the end, he wished for something simpler, to understand why Danny had helped him, and maybe, just maybe, to see him again. He blew out the candles, and the room erupted in cheers. What Tyler didn't know was that at that exact moment, 3 miles away, Danny Morales sat on his bike outside Riverside Youth Home, engine idling. He'd looked up the address, told himself he was just checking to make sure the kid was okay, that the cake had made it to him safely. But sitting there, staring at the old converted school building with its barred windows and institutional atmosphere, Danny felt something crack open inside his chest. He thought of Carlos, of all the moments he'd missed, of the father he'd tried to be and had lost the chance to be. He thought of his own childhood, spent in places just like this, waiting for someone to choose him, to see value in him. Danny revved his engine and rode away into the Portland night. But as he went, he knew something had shifted. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. 3 days passed before Danny showed up at Morrison's bakery again. He told himself it was just his regular coffee stop, nothing more. But when he walked through the door, Brenda's knowing smile told him she wasn't buying it. "Afternoon, Danny," she said, already pouring his usual black coffee. "Looking for anyone in particular?" "Just coffee, Brenda," he muttered, but his eyes had already scanned the small bakery. Tyler wasn't there. "The boy hasn't been back since you bought him that cake," Brenda said gently, setting the cup in front of him. "But I have his address if you want it. Riverside Youth Home on 82nd. "I know where it is," Danny said quietly. Brenda leaned against the counter, her expression serious. "Danny, I've known you a long time. Whatever you're thinking about doing, helping that boy, it's not going to be simple. The system doesn't trust people like us easily." "People like us? Working class folks, people with tattoos and records?" Brenda pulled up her sleeve, revealing a faded rose tattoo on her forearm. "I tried to foster once, years ago. They rejected my application because of a marijuana possession charge from when I was 19. Never mind that it was 20 years old, or that I'd been running a successful business for a decade." Danny's jaw tightened. He had his own record. Assault charges from bar fights in his 20s, though nothing in the past decade. He'd cleaned up his act when Maria had gotten pregnant with Carlos, had become the man she'd believed he could be. But the system had a long memory. "I'm not trying to foster him," Danny said. I just want to make sure he's all right." "Then go see him," Brenda said simply, "but be prepared. Those group homes are overwhelmed. They've got rules and bureaucracy, and they're suspicious of anyone who shows unexpected interest in their kids. Can't blame them really, given what some kids have been through." That afternoon, Danny found himself standing in the parking lot of Riverside Youth Home. The building looked even more depressing in daylight. The paint was peeling, several windows were cracked and taped over, and the small playground out front had seen better days. A chain-link fence surrounded the property, and Danny could see a security camera above the main entrance. He almost turned around. What was he doing here? He had no right to insert himself into this kid's life. But then he remembered Tyler's face, the way the boy had shaken his hand with such careful formality, like he was trying to be brave. Danny pushed through the front door. The interior was as institutional as he'd expected. Linoleum floors, cinder block walls painted beige, the smell of industrial cleaner mixed with the faint odor of too many people living in too small a space. A reception desk sat to the right, where a young woman with tired eyes looked up from her computer. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone professional but wary. Her gaze took in Danny's appearance, the leather vest with Iron Brotherhood patches, the tattoos, the hard edges, and her posture subtly shifted to defensive. "I'm here to see Tyler Bennett," Danny said, trying to sound less intimidating than he looked. "Are you family?" "No, I'm..." Danny paused. What was he exactly? "I'm a friend. I helped him out a few days ago and I wanted to check on him." The receptionist's expression grew more guarded. "I'm sorry, sir, but we can't allow unscheduled visits from non-family members. It's facility policy for the children's safety." "I understand," Danny said, forcing himself to remain calm and reasonable. "Could you at least tell Tyler that Danny stopped by, just so he knows I was thinking about him?" "I can pass along a message," she said, her tone suggesting she probably wouldn't. Danny stood there for a moment, frustration building in his chest. But getting angry wouldn't help. "Thank you," he finally said, and turned to leave. "Wait," a voice called from the hallway. Valerie Thompson emerged from a side office, her clipboard ever present. She'd been listening to the exchange. "You're the man who bought Tyler his birthday cake?" Danny turned back. "Yes, ma'am." Valerie studied him carefully, her experienced eyes reading the story written across his appearance. She'd been in child welfare for 20 years. She'd seen predators and she'd seen genuinely good people, and she'd learned to tell the difference. Something about this rough-looking biker's demeanor, the way he'd said "ma'am," the careful control in his voice, the sadness in his eyes, pinged as genuine. "Tyler told us what you did," Valerie said. "That was very kind of you." "Just wanted to make sure he got to have a proper birthday," Danny replied. "Mr. Morales, Daniel Morales." "Mr. Morales, I appreciate your concern for Tyler, but as my colleague explained, we have strict policies about visitors. These children have been through significant trauma, and we have to be very careful about who has access to them." "I understand," Danny said. "I grew up in the system myself, Sacramento, back in the 80s and 90s. I know how it works." Valerie's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of recognition passing through her eyes. "Then you understand why we're cautious." "I do, but I also know what it's like to be a kid in a place like this, wondering if anyone outside these walls gives a damn about you." Danny's voice was quiet but intense. "Tyler seemed like a good kid, deserves better than what he's got." "He does," Valerie agreed. "But wanting to help and being able to help are two different things. If you're seriously interested in being involved in Tyler's life, there are proper channels." You could inquire about becoming a mentor through our Big Brothers program, though there's a background check and training required. Danny nodded slowly. How long does that take? Usually 6 to 8 weeks for the full approval process. Valerie softened slightly. Look, Mr. Morales, I can see you mean well, but these kids have had adults disappoint them over and over. Tyler's been in the system for 4 years. His mother died of an overdose when he was 8, and his father was never in the picture. He's been through 5 placements, and every time he starts to attach to someone, something falls apart. I won't let him get hurt again by someone who might lose interest. The words hit Danny harder than he'd expected. I won't lose interest, he said quietly. That's what they all say at first, Valerie replied, not unkindly. But good intentions aren't enough. Kids like Tyler need consistency, reliability. Can you provide that? Could he? Danny had spent 6 years avoiding emotional connection, afraid of being hurt again. Taking on a kid, even as a mentor, would require opening up, being vulnerable, showing up week after week, even when it was hard. Was he capable of that? I'd like to try, Danny said finally. What do I need to do? Valerie pulled a business card from her clipboard. Call this number. As for Monica Chen, she runs our mentorship program. She'll walk you through the process. She paused, then added, and Mr. Morales, if you're going to do this, commit fully. Don't start something you can't finish. Tyler deserves better than another abandonment. Understood, Danny said, taking the card. As he walked back to his bike, Danny's mind was racing. What had he just committed to? A background check would show his assault charges, his association with the Iron Brotherhood MC. Would that disqualify him? Probably, but maybe it was worth trying anyway. Inside the building, Tyler had been watching from a second-floor window. He'd seen Danny arrive, had watched him walk to the front entrance with that distinctive swagger that came from years of riding motorcycles. Tyler's heart had leapt. He came back, followed immediately by confusion. Why would Danny come here? What did he want? Amy appeared beside him at the window. Is that the biker man? The one who bought your cake? Yeah, Tyler said softly. He looks scary. I know, but Tyler didn't feel scared. He felt curious and maybe a little bit hopeful, though he tried to squash that feeling down. Hope was dangerous. Hope led to disappointment. Tyler! Valerie's voice called from downstairs. Can you come to my office, please? Tyler's stomach dropped. Was he in trouble? Had Danny said something? He made his way downstairs slowly, each step heavy with apprehension. When he entered Valerie's office, she was sitting behind her desk, her expression unreadable. Sit down, honey, she said gently. Tyler sat, his hands gripping the arms of the chair. The man who bought you the birthday cake, Danny Morales. He stopped by today, Valerie began. Tyler's eyes widened. Is he okay? Did something happen? Valerie smiled slightly at the boy's immediate concern for someone else. He's fine. He came to check on you. Wanted to make sure you were doing well. Oh, Tyler didn't know what to say. Why? I think he cares about you, Tyler. He mentioned he grew up in foster care too. Sometimes people who've been through similar experiences feel a connection. Valerie leaned forward. He's inquired about becoming a mentor to you. How would you feel about that? Tyler's heart was pounding. A mentor, someone who would spend time with him, like the Big Brothers program some of the other kids were in. I don't know. I don't really know him. That's fair, Valerie said. And nothing's decided yet. He has to go through an approval process, which takes time. I'm telling you now because I want you to think about it. If he's approved and you're interested, you'd meet with him once a week or so. Do activities together, talk, that kind of thing. What if... Tyler hesitated, then pushed forward. What if he changes his mind? What if he decides I'm not worth it? Valerie's heart ached. This was the core fear all her kids carried. that they were somehow unlovable, unworthy of commitment. Tyler, listen to me. You are worth it. You're a smart, kind, resilient young man. If Danny follows through with this, it won't be because he's doing you a favor. It'll be because he sees what I see, a kid worth knowing. Tyler wanted to believe her, but believing meant risking hurt, and he'd been hurt so many times already. Just think about it, Valerie said. No pressure. And remember, even if this doesn't work out, you still have people here who care about you. Tyler nodded and left her office, his mind spinning. As he walked back upstairs, he passed Miguel in the hallway. "What did Miss Thompson want?" Miguel asked. "That biker guy, Danny, he wants to be my mentor." Miguel's eyebrows shot up. "Seriously? That's actually pretty cool, if he's legit." "You think he is?" Miguel shrugged. "I don't know, man, but maybe it's worth finding out." "What's the worst that could happen?" Tyler could think of plenty of worst-case scenarios, but he kept them to himself. That night, lying in his bunk, he allowed himself to imagine what it might be like to have someone like Danny in his life. Someone who understood what it was like to be alone, to be different, someone who'd shown up just to check on him. Maybe, just maybe, hope wasn't such a dangerous thing after all. 6 weeks crawled by with agonizing slowness. Danny threw himself into the mentorship approval process with a determination that surprised even him. He filled out endless paperwork, sat through interviews with Monica Chen and her team, underwent a thorough background check, and completed 12 hours of training on trauma-informed care for foster youth. His assault charges from 15 years ago did raise red flags, but Danny was honest about his past. He explained how he'd been an angry young man, fresh out of the foster system, how he'd gotten into fights when he felt disrespected, how meeting Maria had changed him, how losing her and Carlos had nearly destroyed him. Monica Chen, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s who'd been running the mentorship program for a decade, saw something in Danny that made her willing to advocate for his approval. "Your past doesn't disqualify you," Monica told him during their final interview. "What matters is who you are now, and whether you can provide stability and support for Tyler. Can you commit to showing up every week even when it's hard, even when Tyler pushes you away, which he probably will at some point?" "I can," Danny said firmly. "I will." The Iron Brotherhood was less supportive. At a club meeting, when Danny mentioned he was becoming a mentor to a foster kid, the response was mixed. "Man, that's a lot of responsibility," said Marcus Joker Shaw, the club's sergeant-at-arms. "You sure you're ready for that? Kid's gonna see all this." He gestured around the clubhouse, at the leather-clad bikers, the bar, the club's symbols. "And what's his social worker gonna think?" "I don't care what they think," Danny replied. "The kid needs someone, and I'm going to be that someone." Reaper, the club president, studied Danny carefully from across the table. "This about Carlos?" he asked bluntly. The room went quiet. Everyone knew about Danny's son, about the accident, about the 6 years of grief that had followed. "Maybe," Danny admitted, "maybe partly. But it's also about that kid specifically, Tyler. He reminds me of who I was, lost, alone, trying to be brave when everything's falling apart. If I can make his life even a little bit better, then yeah, I'm going to do it." Reaper nodded slowly. "Just remember, brother, you bring that kid around here, we all become responsible for setting a good example. No drug dealing, no heavy drinking around him, no violence. We're a motorcycle club, yeah, but we're also a family. If Tyler's going to be part of your life, he's part of ours too. Everyone good with that?" The assembled members nodded or murmured agreement. The Iron Brotherhood might have looked rough, but most of them were good men who'd simply found belonging outside mainstream society. They took care of their own, and if Danny was claiming this kid as his responsibility, they'd support it. Jackson clapped Danny on the shoulder as the meeting broke up. "Proud of you, man. This is a good thing you're doing." Finally, on a cold Saturday morning in early March, Danny got the call. He was approved. His first meeting with Tyler was scheduled for the following afternoon at Riverside Youth Home, supervised by Monica Chen. Danny barely slept that night. What would he say to the kid? What if Tyler had changed his mind and didn't want a mentor anymore? What if Danny screwed this up? The questions spiraled through his mind until dawn broke over Portland, the sky gray and heavy with rain. At 2 o'clock that afternoon, Danny pulled up to Riverside on his Harley, then reconsidered. Maybe the motorcycle was too much for a first supervised meeting. He walked back to his truck parked nearby and drove that instead, a beat-up Ford F-150 that he used for hauling parts. Inside, Monica Chen was waiting in a small meeting room with comfortable chairs and motivational posters on the walls. "Danny, good to see you. Tyler will be here in a moment. Remember, this first meeting is about establishing comfort and boundaries. Don't push too hard. Let him set the pace." Danny nodded, his mouth dry. When had he last felt this nervous? Then the door opened and Tyler walked in, escorted by Valerie Thompson. The boy looked different than Danny remembered, more guarded, more skeptical. His arms were crossed over his chest, and his eyes flicked between the adults warily, but when his gaze landed on Danny, something flickered there. Recognition. Maybe even a hint of gladness, quickly hidden. "Hi, Tyler," Danny said, his voice coming out rougher than intended. "Good to see you again." "Hi," Tyler replied quietly. "Why don't you both sit down?" Monica suggested, gesturing to the chairs arranged in a casual circle rather than across a desk. They sat. An awkward silence stretched out. Danny cleared his throat. "So, I know this is probably weird for you. It's weird for me too, to be honest." Tyler's lips twitched in what might have been the start of a smile. "Yeah, it's pretty weird. Monica said we'd meet once a week if you're okay with that. Do stuff together, talk, whatever you want, really." Danny felt like he was fumbling through darkness. How did you connect with a 12-year-old? "I thought maybe I could teach you about motorcycles if you're interested. Or we could just hang out, get food. I don't know." "I've never been on a motorcycle," Tyler said softly. "Would you want to? Learn about them? Maybe ride sometime?" Tyler's eyes lit up, the first real enthusiasm Danny had seen. "Really? That would be cool." Monica interjected gently. "Let's start with getting to know each other first. Tyler, why don't you tell Danny a bit about yourself? Your interests, what you like to do?" Tyler shrugged. "I don't know. I like reading, I guess. Science fiction mostly, and I help with the younger kids here, Amy and some of the others. They're kind of like my responsibility." "That's good of you," Danny said. "Looking after others. Takes a good heart to do that." Tyler ducked his head, uncomfortable with the praise. "It's just, they're little, you know, they get scared. I remember what that was like." Danny understood that better than Tyler knew. He'd been that kid once, the older one protecting the younger ones, because the adults were spread too thin to notice everything. The conversation grew easier as they continued. Danny talked about his motorcycle shop, about working with his hands, about the satisfaction of fixing something broken. Tyler asked questions, his natural curiosity overcoming his initial wariness. By the end of the hour, they were actually talking like two people rather than two strangers fulfilling obligations. "Same time next week?" Monica asked as they wrapped up. "Yeah," Tyler said, then looked at Danny. "Will you be here?" "I'll be here," Danny promised. "Every week, you can count on it." Tyler nodded, something loosening in his posture. As he left the room with Valerie, he glanced back once, and Danny saw hope warring with fear on the boy's face. Over the following weeks, Danny and Tyler fell into a rhythm. Every Saturday afternoon, Danny would show up at Riverside, and they'd spend 2 hours together. At first, Monica supervised closely, but as trust built, she gave them more independence. Danny took Tyler to his motorcycle shop, showing him how engines worked, letting him hand tools and learn about mechanics. Tyler absorbed everything like a sponge, asking endless questions. "You're pretty smart, kid," Danny observed one afternoon as Tyler successfully diagnosed a carburetor problem on a bike they'd been working on. "I'm okay at school," Tyler replied, wiping grease off his hands. "Mostly B's and C's." "That's because school doesn't teach you real-world stuff. This," Danny gestured at the motorcycle, "this is real. You're learning skills that matter." Tyler glowed under the praise, and Danny realized how starved for approval this kid was. Every bit of recognition, every moment of genuine attention, Tyler soaked up like someone dying of thirst. One Saturday in late April, Danny asked, "You ever want to go somewhere? Like leave Riverside for the day? We could go to a museum, get food somewhere nice, whatever you want." Tyler's face lit up. "We can do that? If Valerie and Monica approve it, yeah. Where would you want to go?" Tyler thought for a moment. "The Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. I've always wanted to go there, but we never have money for field trips." The following week, armed with permission and Monica's blessing, Danny picked Tyler up in his truck. Tyler climbed in, his excitement barely contained despite his attempts to play it cool. They drove across Portland to OMSI, and Danny bought tickets for everything: the exhibits, the planetarium, even the submarine tour. Watching Tyler explore the museum, his face alight with wonder as he learned about physics and astronomy and marine biology, Danny felt something he hadn't felt in years: purpose. This mattered. This boy mattered. And maybe, just maybe, Danny could be the person Tyler needed. They ate lunch at the museum cafe, and Tyler was uncharacteristically quiet as they sat with their sandwiches. Finally, he spoke. "Danny, can I ask you something?" "Sure, kid." "Why are you doing this, really?" Tyler's blue eyes were serious, older than they should be. "Everyone says people always want something, so what do you want from me?" Danny set down his sandwich, considering his answer carefully. This was important. "I don't want anything from you, Tyler. But I'll tell you why I'm doing this. You remind me of who I was when I was your age. Tough on the outside, scared on the inside, trying to figure out how to survive without any real support. I grew up in foster care too, and I know what it's like to feel like nobody cares if you live or die." Tyler's eyes widened. "You were in foster care?" "Sacramento. Bounced around from age 7 to 18. Never got adopted, never found a permanent family. Aged out and was on my own with nothing." Danny paused. "I also had a son, Carlos. He died 6 years ago along with my wife." "I'm sorry," Tyler whispered. "Me too. I think maybe I'm doing this partly because I miss being a father, but mostly I'm doing it because you deserve to have someone who shows up for you, who gives a damn about what happens to you. You're a good kid, Tyler. You deserve better than what you've gotten." Tears welled in Tyler's eyes, and he blinked rapidly, trying to push them back. "My mom died too. Drug overdose. I found her." Danny's heart clenched. "That must have been terrible." "It was." Tyler's voice was barely audible. "I called 911, but it was too late. They took me away that day, and I never went back to our apartment, never got any of my stuff, not even pictures of her." Without thinking, Danny reached across the table and put his hand over Tyler's smaller one. "I'm here now, kid, and I'm not going anywhere. I promise you that." Tyler looked up, his eyes red but hopeful. "Promise?" "Promise." It was a moment of perfect connection, fragile and powerful at once. For the first time in 6 years, Danny felt like he might actually heal. And for the first time in 4 years, Tyler allowed himself to believe that maybe someone would actually stay. As they left the museum that afternoon, Tyler's hand slipped into Danny's naturally, easily, like it belonged there. Danny held on tight, silently vowing that he would never let this boy down. Summer arrived in Portland with uncharacteristic sunshine, breaking through the gray that had dominated the sky for months. By June, Danny and Tyler had been meeting for nearly 4 months, and their relationship had deepened into something that felt less like mentorship and more like family. Danny taught Tyler to ride, not on the streets yet, but in the empty parking lot behind his shop, on a small dirt bike he'd fixed up. Tyler was a natural, picking up balance and control quickly. More importantly, he'd started smiling more, laughing even, the weight he'd carried beginning to lift. The other kids at Riverside had noticed the change. Amy adored Danny, running to hug him every time he arrived to pick up Tyler. Miguel had warmed up to the biker, appreciating how he treated Tyler with respect and never talked down to him. Even Nathan, perpetually suspicious, had grudgingly admitted that maybe Danny was actually okay. But as Tyler's attachment to Danny grew, so did his anxiety about the temporary nature of their arrangement. What happened when Danny got tired of him? When the novelty wore off? Tyler had been abandoned too many times to fully trust permanence. One Saturday in July, as they worked on rebuilding a Triumph engine, Tyler asked quietly, "Danny, how long are you planning to keep doing this? The mentor thing?" Danny looked up from the valve he was adjusting. "What do you mean?" "I mean, when does it end? When I turn 18 or before that?" Danny set down his wrench and gave Tyler his full attention. "Tyler, I'm not planning on going anywhere. As long as you want me around, I'm here." "But that's not how it works," Tyler argued, his voice tight. "People always leave eventually. My mom died. My dad never showed up. Every foster placement I've had has ended. Why would this be different?" Danny had been expecting this conversation, had known it would come eventually. He'd discussed it with Monica Chen, with Jackson, with his therapist. Yes, he'd started seeing a therapist again, working through his grief so he could be emotionally available for Tyler. "You're right that people leave sometimes," Danny said carefully, "and I can't promise that nothing will ever change, but I can promise that I'm not going to abandon you. You're stuck with me, kid, for the long haul." "What does that mean, though?" Tyler pressed. "You're my mentor. That's it. You're not my dad or my family or anything. When I age out of the system, when I'm on my own, will you still be there?" Danny had been thinking about this question for weeks now, wrestling with it late at night. The truth was, he didn't want to be just Tyler's mentor. He wanted more. But saying that out loud felt enormous, terrifying, like standing at the edge of a cliff. "What if I wanted to be more than your mentor?" Danny asked slowly. "What if I wanted to be your family?" Tyler froze, the socket wrench in his hand forgotten. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I've been talking to Monica and Valerie, and to lawyers, about fostering you." Danny's heart was pounding. "And maybe, eventually, adopting you, if that's something you'd want." The socket wrench clattered to the concrete floor. Tyler's face went through a series of emotions, shock, disbelief, hope, fear, before landing on something that looked like desperate longing. "You want to adopt me?" "Yeah, kid. I do. But I'm 12. Nobody adopts 12-year-olds. Everyone wants babies and little kids. I don't want babies or little kids," Danny said firmly. "I want you. You, specifically." Tears started streaming down Tyler's face. "Why?" "Because you're smart and brave and kind. Because you look after other kids when you can barely take care of yourself. Because you deserve a home and a family. Because..." Danny's voice cracked. "Because I already think of you as my son." Tyler launched himself at Danny, wrapping his thin arms around the bigger man's neck and sobbing into his shoulder. Danny held him tight, his own eyes burning with tears. "It's okay," Danny murmured. "I've got you. I've got you, Tyler." They stayed like that for a long time, two broken people finding wholeness in each other. Eventually, Tyler pulled back, wiping his face. "What happens now? How does this work?" "Well, it's not fast," Danny admitted. "The system doesn't move quickly. I have to become a licensed foster parent first, which means more training, home inspections, the whole deal. Monica thinks it'll take about 3 months. And then there's a transition period where you'd come stay with me on weekends before moving in full time. And adoption, that takes even longer, could be a year or more. But it could actually happen. For real. For real, Danny confirmed, if you want it. I want it, Tyler said immediately. I really want it. Over the following months, Danny threw himself into the foster care licensing process. His house, a small 3-bedroom bungalow he'd bought years ago but had barely lived in, preferring to camp out at the shop, needed work to meet state requirements. The Iron Brotherhood rallied around him. Jackson helped install new smoke detectors and carbon monoxide alarms. Other club members pitched in to paint Tyler's future bedroom, to fix the fence in the backyard, to make the house a home. Valerie Thompson conducted the home inspections, and while she maintained her professional demeanor, Danny could see approval in her eyes. "You're really doing this," she said during her final visit. "Most people talk about helping, but you're actually following through." "This kid's my son," Danny said simply, just waiting for the paperwork to make it official. In September, Tyler spent his first weekend at Danny's house. The bedroom the club had fixed up was painted blue, Tyler's favorite color, and Danny had bought a new bed, a desk for homework, and bookshelf that Tyler immediately started filling with his science fiction novels. "This is really mine?" Tyler asked, standing in the doorway with wonder in his eyes. "All yours," Danny confirmed. "When you move in for good, you can decorate it however you want." That first weekend was both wonderful and awkward as they navigated the shift from mentor and mentee to something more like father and son. Danny cooked dinner, nothing fancy, just burgers and fries, and they ate at the kitchen table instead of in the living room like Danny usually did. They watched movies, worked on motorcycles in the garage, and slowly began building the routines that would define their life together. The Iron Brotherhood embraced Tyler wholeheartedly. When Danny brought him to a family barbecue at the clubhouse, the bikers treated the boy with a mixture of respect and gentle teasing that made Tyler feel included rather than intimidated. Jackson taught him to play pool, Reaper showed him photos of his own grandkids, and the club members made it clear Tyler was under their protection now. At school, Tyler's grades improved dramatically. With Danny's support and encouragement, he found the focus that had always eluded him. His teachers noticed the change. The boy who'd been withdrawn and distracted was now engaged, asking questions, turning in homework on time. When Danny attended his first parent-teacher conference in November, Tyler beamed with pride. By December, exactly 1 year after that encounter in Morrison's bakery, Tyler moved into Danny's house permanently. The transition was official. Tyler Bennett Morales was now a foster child in Danny's care, with adoption proceedings underway. On Tyler's 13th birthday, Danny threw him a party. Not at Riverside this time, but at their home. The living room was packed with people who cared about Tyler. Kids from his school, Miguel and Amy, and other friends from Riverside who came to visit. The Iron Brotherhood members with their families, Brenda from the bakery, Monica Chen, even Valerie Thompson. As Tyler blew out the candles on a massive cake, nothing expired about this one. Danny stood back and watched, his heart full in a way he hadn't thought possible after losing Maria and Carlos. He would always miss them, would always carry that grief. But he'd learned that the heart could hold both sorrow and joy, loss and new love. Tyler caught his eye across the room and smiled. A real smile, unguarded and bright. Later that night, after everyone had gone home and they were cleaning up together, Tyler said quietly, "Danny, can I call you Dad?" Danny had to clear his throat twice before he could answer. "I'd be honored, son." Tyler hugged him tight. "Best birthday ever." "Yeah," Danny agreed, holding his son close. "Best birthday ever." The adoption was finalized 6 months later in June. Judge Patricia Whitmore, who'd seen countless cases in her 30 years on the bench, smiled as she signed the papers. Mr. Morales, Tyler, congratulations. You are now legally father and son. In the courtroom sat their chosen family, the Iron Brotherhood in their leather vests, Brenda wiping tears from her eyes, Monica and Valerie beaming with professional satisfaction, and all of Tyler's friends from school and his old life at Riverside. As they left the courthouse, Tyler, now officially Tyler Bennett Morales, turned to Danny. "We did it. We're actually a family." "We've been a family since the day I bought you that cake," Danny replied. "This just makes it official." They rode home together, Tyler on the back of Danny's Harley, arms wrapped around his father's waist, the Portland sun breaking through clouds to light their way. Behind them, the Iron Brotherhood followed in formation, their engines roaring in celebration, a chosen family honoring the newest member of their tribe. That night, Danny found Tyler sitting on the back porch, looking up at the stars. He sat down beside his son. "You good kid?" "I'm perfect," Tyler said softly. "I was just thinking about my mom, wishing she could see this, see that I'm okay." "I bet she knows," Danny said, "and I bet she's glad you found your way here." "Do you think about Carlos and Maria?" "Every day," Danny admitted. "But I don't just think about losing them anymore. I think about the love we had and how lucky I was to have them. And now I think about how lucky I am to have you." Tyler leaned against Danny's shoulder. "I love you, Dad." Danny wrapped his arm around his son. "I love you too, Tyler, more than you know." They sat there together as the summer evening faded into night. Two souls who'd found each other in the most unexpected way, who'd taken broken pieces and built something whole. A biker and an orphan who'd both been looking for home and found it in each other. 1 year ago, Tyler had walked into a bakery asking for an expired cake, expecting nothing, hoping for little. He'd received so much more than cake that day. He'd received a father, a family, a future. And Danny, who'd thought his heart was too broken to love again, had learned that sometimes the greatest gifts come in the most unexpected packages. In the end, it hadn't been about a cake at all. It had been about seeing someone, truly seeing them and choosing to care. That simple act of kindness had changed two lives forever, proving that sometimes the smallest gestures create the biggest ripples. As Portland's lights twinkled in the distance and the sound of distant motorcycles echoed through the neighborhood, father and son sat together in comfortable silence, both finally home.